So we're going to get started with the workshop here. For those who don't know, I used to be a paralegal here, but now I'm presenting basically workshops, which are the presentations for various legal topics. But something very important to note is that I'm not an attorney. That's basically what this disclaimer is. This is just for educational purposes. I'm not giving any advice. So without further ado, let's get right to it. Navigating your encounters with law enforcement. There's a lot of rights you have that many people are just not aware of usually, and I'm here to go over those. So who here is familiar with Batman? So you know how he has like the utility belt or yeah, it's the utility belt. I don't know if it's like the bat utility belt or something like that, but he has various little tools in that belt and he uses them for different situations, just like how I'm going to share with you what your rights are. And that's what the purpose is of today's workshop. It's going to be about learning how to stay safe and invoke your rights, make sure you don't waive them, and to empower yourself to remain informed, safe, and in control. So I thought I'd start with what the police do on a deeper level. Probable cause is their main method of invoking any rights they have to enforce the law. It's known as the lowest standard in a legal proceeding, and that just means it's easier for them to basically make up whatever reasoning they have to basically search, seize, and arrest a person based on whatever crime they believe is committed. So they can search, seize, or arrest without a warrant if they have probable cause. Okay, let's just skip to the use of force, right? They're entitled to use reasonable force to arrest or detain somebody. There is a difference. Detain just means that you're stopped temporarily, and then arrest means that your freedoms are taken away from you and that they're taking you into custody. Sometimes, however, they are allowed to use deadly force. Very controversial topic, but it's a right they have nonetheless, is to use deadly force according to Tennessee v. Garner, which is a Supreme Court case that establishes deadly force as a method they may use. Okay, so then another exception to having a warrant to basically get around your Fourth Amendment right, which we'll talk about sooner, is the plain view doctrine, which basically states that if something's in plain view, they have the right to seize that evidence, whatever they may come up with, to use in a court of law against you. The Constitution gives you certain rights when you're dealing with the executive branch, which is basically on the city level, it's the police, all the way to the president. So these people, they cannot violate your Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, or Eighth Amendment rights, or at least they're not supposed to. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They're not supposed to. They're not supposed to do that, but...
What's the Fifth? I mean, I know the Fifth. The Sixth and Eighth and Fourth Amendment.
That's a good question. We're about to get into that right now. So the Fourth Amendment is the right to refuse or consent to a search. What many people experience is when they're pulled over in traffic. If you put something, let's say cocaine in the back of your seat, they're going to probably see that. Most likely that's going to give them the exception through the plain view doctrine. Yes, what we're going to get to is if something is in your trunk, they generally, they need some sort of strong evidence to prove that something is in your trunk to be able to search it, and then they'd be able to seize the cocaine. So yeah, if you put something in your trunk, you're most likely not advising that, but if there is some sort of evidence and it's in your trunk, they would need a warrant to get through and search it. Again, it could be bypassed through probable cause, but that could be debated if you get an attorney or something. You had a question?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So if, say, they go to your house and they say they have a search warrant, but they don't really have a search warrant, and they find stuff in your house, and they say you find guns in your house and take your guns, and then they leave without having a warrant, so nobody gets arrested, and the car's over with them. Can you get your guns back even though you're a felon?
What many people would have the right to do is to ask for the search warrant, to see the search warrant before anything happens. Just say, hey, officer, do I have a search warrant for this, or do you have a search warrant to search my house or something like that? Because they're not supposed to be doing that. They're not supposed to be lying.
They told me they had one. They put me in a car, and when I asked for it again, they said they would give it to me when they were done searching for my house. and then they came out with guns and so they found what we're looking for. Oh, God.
So,
Yeah.
so you didn't ask basically that you had like, do you have a warrant?
I did.
You did, and they showed it to you or no?
They told me to show me after they cleared my house.
You kill
That doesn't
someone
go
that-
away.
Yeah, they're supposed to. They are generally supposed to show the warrant before they search the house. That's why they need the. They probably like there's in that circumstance it's like how can you how can you violate the basically like in that circumstance you would have violated your Fourth Amendment right because you're supposed to show the warrant first. Otherwise, you don't know. It's not fair if they just go in and to your house and then just take whatever they want. That could be. It could be reasonable to say that that's a violation of your Fourth Amendment right. So that's what I'm trying to say is that you absolutely have access to your Fourth Amendment right. Oh, question?
I have a question. So say I get pulled over, right?
Yep.
And the officer says it's a traffic ticket, and it's a legit traffic.
Yeah.
And they have updated tags, right?
Yeah.
But then goes, I want to search the vehicle. But that's a is that a probable cause enough from an infraction of a ticket, a fixed ticket? Can they, even though you're not on parole or probation, and then you say, no, I want to exercise my Fourth Amendment?
Yeah, so that's a great question because he just said, what if you're on parole or what if you're on probation? In that case, they would have every right to search your car.
You don't.
But if you don't, that's what I'm trying to get at is that most like when you have when you're not in that probationary status or parole status, you will normally have access to your Fourth Amendment right, which yes, you could deny their search, their request to search.
Even though your tags are expired and you did commit that infraction?
Well, that could be it could be
Can they
seen as.
exercise that probable cause?
So probable cause is it's very like it's that's what I was trying to get at. It's
But
very
it could go to stereotyping because I certain this. I tell you this because this happened.
yeah.
And I sued the out of West Covina Department and I won. But
Yeah, see, that's a good thing to do. If you feel like your rights, they take advantage of people not knowing their rights. So if you don't know if they're gonna try to do things like that, where
But I didn't know how to use my Fourth Amendment. So he told me,
Yeah.
look, they were gonna tow your thing, but I
Yeah.
told him I'm not on parole and probation, but they still called gang unit and they wanted me to give them information, take pictures.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I denied it. This is a traffic ticket. I didn't commit a crime. Their next excuse was, well, you fit the description of a crime that was just committed, which is tactics.
Yeah.
Which is a lie. Now that not only that, they're claiming that the gang unit became the good cop and the bad cop was the guy that pulled me over. But the thing is that he threatened me to, I want to tow your car now, what kind of man are you?
Yeah.
And I go ahead, tow my shit. Because I need your badge number and everything you have. And then as soon as all that happened, I went directly to a report on them or what just happened immediately. I got the booking number of that case. I saved it, got myself an attorney, which my brother's an attorney. Gave it to him, they did an investigation. I messed up because I didn't have audio or video when that happened recorded because it happened so fast.
Mhm.
But I told the officer that I was disabled. Not only did that, he saw my cane and he saw my plaque card that was in the back. And then the officer says, yeah, right, you're not this. So they wanted to do all these things. But he threatened me, you're gonna get a ticket and I'm gonna tow your car. But because I kind of fought back and I told him to take me to jail, the cop goes, listen, you got your car back, sign the money, I'll take you the out of here. I said, no problem. You'll be hearing from me later. And that was it. I got the paperwork. Yeah, it took a while, but they violated so much. If I would have had it recorded, not even in video, but just recorded, I would have won about probably a $2-3 million lawsuit. But I did got a good chunk of the lawsuit.
Yeah.
But I didn't do it for the money. I did it because I felt bad because they violated my rights and I got hurt. I was so angry because I told them I wasn't on probation. It's just a traffic ticket, but it escalated into this big.
So you got the general idea is that there are times when law enforcement will try to
Stereotyping.
no, not stereotype necessarily. It's more so like they'll try to just when they do their thing, they're gonna try to generally get you to waive your rights in some way or another, and that's what I'm trying to explain. Well, I'll get to that sooner or later, but yeah. So we covered the fourth, right to refuse a consent to a search or seizure, and then your Fifth Amendment is your right to remain silent. That's actually a very basic overview of what the Fifth Amendment is, and I should probably hand these out. I forgot to do that. So your Sixth Amendment right, your right to an attorney, and then your Eighth Amendment right, your right to non-excessive bail. Again, there's another one in there, so we're just gonna. Okay, your Miranda rights. Basically, this is your Miranda case, and it informs you that basically
They use that to.
yeah. So
That's a famous one.
the police or law enforcement, they're generally supposed to inform you of your rights when you're arrested. That's a good indicator to know if you're arrested. Sometimes, there may be times when they don't do that, but one question that's often asked, or it's a myth, is that if the police don't read your Miranda rights, then the case gets thrown out. That's a myth. It's a case by case thing.
That's Miranda's rights. What about my rights?
Well, it just
You have the right to remain silent.
Yeah.
That's right.
To the
That's my rights.
attorneys.
yeah, which is everything we covered. They're supposed to say everything I just covered right here, the overview.
You know, I got off probation because they read me my Miranda rights via audio cassette back in the day.
Wow. Okay. And then just one more thing.
Get free
Audio
jail.
cassette, like,
What we
audio
did.
cassette.
And this is what we discussed before, the different types of police encounters: consensual encounters, which is when they question you or stuff; investigative, which they can, again, ask questions; and then arrest, which is what we just talked about. Okay, yeah, this is actually what I was going to segue into. So, a general overview of what to do when it happens.
Am I being detained? You see?
You could be, yeah, it could happen. So, actually, this is probably my best piece of advice. When I was younger, my dad would always tell me, when you get pulled over, keep your hands on the wheel, address them as sir or ma'am, stuff like that. So calm and polite always helps. It always helps to diffuse the tension between them. But sometimes, they may tempt you. I've been pulled over and they'll try to elicit some sort of a reaction out of me. Just know that it's temporary, and it's not the final step at all. It's the final step, if it goes anywhere, is going to be towards the judicial process. So never see a police encounter as an end all be all. That's my key to staying calm.
You know what I tell the cops? Look,
What's that?
I care for you,
Yeah.
and I don't want you to do paperwork. Let's stop now. Let's just stop
Has that
now.
ever worked for you?
Yeah. And he's like, man.
Or vice versa, they'll tell you too. Get out of here and want the paperwork.
Yeah, I've had that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll say that.
You know what? Smash your
Especially if
55
they catch you at the end of their shift.
Mhm.
Or they catch you at the end of their shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just that's all good strategies right there. And then just avoid escalating the situation. Again, it's not final. Avoid giving false information. You don't want to tell them. You want to tell them as little as you can in general. Just
sit down, shut up.
avoid physically resisting the officers. Again, that's what leads to deadly force if they want to use it. Is if you physically resist them. So you don't want to you don't want to give them grounds to use deadly force. And then don't assume the police will inform you of your rights. They technically do with the Miranda rights, but like when after the Miranda rights, their goal is not exactly to inform you of your rights. And so let's just go over your paperwork. This is where it kind of goes into play. Okay, so you'll notice that the Fifth Amendment is very large, and it's not just one right; it's multiple rights. So you'll see that in the right side, the key clauses makes it easier to kind of understand what those rights are because of that big body of text. So let's go one by one. The right against self-incrimination. So when they ask you questions, you don't necessarily have to give them any information. And then that's where it gets to. It's eventually going to lead to a judicial process if it does, and that's when you'll get an attorney who's going to want your best interests at heart generally, and try to get you as fair of a trial as much as possible without you waiving or incriminating yourself as much as possible. Double jeopardy. Who here knows what double jeopardy is?
And we tried the same crime twice.
Exactly. That's in the Fifth Amendment as well, not just your right to keep quiet in a criminal proceeding. The due process clause is your right to have a trial, and yeah, that's what we're getting to. So you get to enjoy that right to be able to have a fair trial, and to maximize the fairness of the trial, you generally want to take advantage of your Fifth Amendment right as much as possible. Try not to give them as much to work with. Only talk when an attorney is present. All those things we were talking about before. So then let's move over to the Sixth Amendment. Your right to a speedy and public trial. So if you want to just get it over with, you have that right. It's not always the best option, but it's a right you get to enjoy nonetheless. Your right to an impartial jury, what we were talking about before, a fair trial. Your right to be informed of your charges. That's when a police officer will, or they will tell you what you're being charged with, or the court will tell you what you're being charged with. Your right to confront witnesses, which I don't know, have any of you watched Law and Order?
Yeah.
You ever see the lawyer kind of like, there's a different process for when you have witnesses on your side, so they kind of go like, oh, what do you think about this person, right? And they try to, like, generally they'll say positive things about you. That's your right to call those witnesses in your favor. And then there's going to be witnesses against you who are probably going to say something negative about you. And that's when the attorney will kind of go, did this really happen? Are you sure you saw them? Stuff like that to really grill those witnesses. That's another part of your right in the Sixth Amendment. And of course, your right to counsel. And then moving on to the Eighth Amendment, you have the protection against excessive bail. And then you have the right to not have cruel and unusual punishments inflicted against you. Those are just an overview of your rights.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, let's do questions.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay,
Yeah.
so right now, I'm obviously here for community labor
Yeah.
to finish up my probation. So I caught another case out, I'm on LA County probation, I caught another case in San Bernardino. So when I got busted, I bailed out, but they didn't file charges. So I found out like a couple days ago that they did file charges. So I have a court date on the 11th, but of August, right?
Yeah.
I have another court date in LA County on August 19th to get on probation.
Yeah.
Is there a way to petition the court in San Bernardino to push back that 11th date so I can expire probation in LA County and then deal with San Bernardino County?
Well, yeah, generally there's always, courts will tend to give you a, what's called a, what's it called? You'll have that,
I don't want to go to court on the 11th. I wanted to, what do you say, how do you say it? Like, change the court date.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. They'll be pretty lenient about an extension is what they call it. So you can ask for an extension if you need it. I think you would, were you given a public defender?
No, I haven't went to court yet. On the 11th of August, I go. Because when I went to court the first time, there was no charges filed, but they did file.
So there is no charges filed, but
No, she said, I'm gonna keep you on bond, come back August 4th for a bond hearing. If they haven't filed by then, I'll let you off bond. But they did file, so I have to go to court August 4th and then August 11th for the charges.
so that would be your arraignment. You're being arraigned.
It says continued prelim. That's what it says on the court website.
Yeah, my best. The only advice I can give you is to get an attorney. It sounds like you should be able to get a public defender.
I could defend myself, but I just want to know how to petition the court to get that date moved from the 11th so I can get off probation in LA County and then deal with them. Because if not, I'm gonna catch a violation in LA County and go back to prison.
Well, if you don't want to get an attorney, which is, like I said, the public defenders are free, you can go to the clerk, see what you can do. They may tell you the same thing, but it just depends on what their rules are.
So I can actually sue you tomorrow for violating my rights?
Yeah, you can file a complaint with the office.
You have.
They would have never found them in my house if they didn't search my house illegally.
Yeah, so to answer your question, I would try to see what you can do with maybe get a public defender if they charge you. Any other questions, guys?
No, they're arguing who.
That's everything?
with them.
Another thing.
All right.
Dismissed. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys are dismissed. Yeah.
All right, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.